Hey everybody, how are you guys? I hope you guys are good. Sorry for being late. Always seems to work that way, doesn't it? Okay. So yeah, first let me just say hello to everybody. Susan, Sugar, Mello, Aaron, how are you guys? Hope you guys are doing awesome. Tonight, I want to go inside the mind of a killer. I want to talk about Bryan Kohberger. I want to talk about the things that were going on inside of himself. I want to talk about the parents. I want to discuss rather, should it be on them? Should they be guilty in the public eye too? Because a lot of people think that they should. Now, were they aware of his behavior? Were they aware of the darkness within their son? Were they aware of any of it? Did they even have it in their mind that he was capable of doing something like this? A lot of people will say, listen, parents know their children. Mothers know their children. Some people will say, no, because parents' love is blind. So, hey, Casey. So I want to discuss a little bit about that. And just get into a few things. Now, before I do any of that, I want to just make something clear about, I had posted a poll on my community page about Dylan, one of the roommates that survived. Now, I was not implying that she had anything to do with this. I was simply questioning things like I do, questioning the story like I do, and I wanted to know where others stood with that. I was not accusing her of anything, so I just want to make that very clear. Okay. Casey. Yeah. When I get done with this, I'll do that. All right. So there's a few things I'm going to pull up. Now, I did take down a previous video. Let me just mention this too. I did take down a previous video. Because I was looking into different serial killers and their connections that possibly to Bryan, like what his, motives, his way of thinking, all of that. And when I told you guys it was BTK, I was incorrect. It was Ted Bundy. So I took that down. I just wanted to make that clear. I just had told you guys wrong. So, all right. Now, Bryan did idolize somebody. His name was Elliot Roger. He was a 22-year-old who went on a killing spree in California in 2014. After doing so, he took his own life, but not before writing his own manifesto, which I ran into earlier, and it's just crazy. I mean, I obviously did not finish it. It's like 100 pages. But it's, you can tell it's very dark. All right. And yes, his sister did star in a slasher film. His sister did. 2 Days Back was the name of it. I saw the trailer earlier. I mean, looks all right, I guess. But I don't think it's like, I don't think that has anything to do with this. I think that Bryan is just a deeply, deeply disturbed person. And when he put out that thing about research, about needing research participants in that study, I think that his behavior, this killing, this thing that he did totally goes into that study. Totally is all about that study, because that study was about people committing crimes, how they thought, how they acted while they were committing the crimes, all of that. And listen, it's exactly what he did. Okay. Now everybody says that Bryan was not outgoing, but he was not shy and timid either. He had a small group of friends through school and everything, and he was like normal until senior year, apparently, when he lost 100 pounds and his whole personality changed. Okay. That's also around the time that he got addicted to heroin. And, you know, it all goes downhill from there. But I want to talk about the parents for a minute, okay? Now, in your opinion, oh, hey, Mrs. Kelly, thanks for being here. So, in your opinion, should the parents be held responsible because they did not warn society about their son? Were they even aware of the darkness within their son? What do you guys think? Because I know, look at how people went after Brian Laundrie's parents. I mean, it was insane how they went after them. Now, I understand why people feel the way that they do. Trust me, I get it. But I'm just saying, it is not the parents' responsibility. It is not the parents who made, you know what, like, I think holding the parents responsible just takes the responsibility off of himself. Let me get that off so I can see. Okay. So let me pull this up. Casey said, yeah, but I think it's different because BL's parents actively helped him escape and tried to cover up his crimes. I'm not sure BK's parents even know about his. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, was that I understand, because once Bryan came back, BL came back, you know, the parents, it was then that it was a problem because they didn't say anything. They didn't make any phone calls. They didn't turn anybody in. Yeah, Shelly, me too. But people, listen, people get angry. And I can't help that. That's what I was trying to say was, listen, all I did was question the story. Okay. That is it. Like, that's fine. There is nothing wrong with questioning the story that you are given. I actually did a poll on my community page about Dylan and the story and what people thought, if they thought it was suspect, or if I get it, it's understandable the way she acted. Like 64% think it's suspect, and 30, I'm just saying, that's the poll numbers. Hey, Sefa. Yeah, exactly, Sefa. I think if he was trying to commit the perfect crime, yeah, oh shit, he definitely made a mistake. Okay, now I'm pull this up for you guys. Let me try to make it a little bit bigger. This is Elliot Rogers' manifesto, okay? Which, again, the messages on Facebook, Papa Roger, they think that it's because of his obsession with Elliot Roger. That's why his name was that. So I'm just going to read you the introduction to this. This is Elliot Rogers' manifesto. Humanity. All of my suffering on this world has been at the hands of humanity, particularly women. It has made me realize just how brutal and twisted humanity is as a species. All I ever wanted was to fit in and live a happy life amongst humanity, but I was cast out and rejected, forced to endure an existence of loneliness and insignificance, all because the females of the human species were incapable of seeing the value in me. This is the story of how I, Elliot Roger, came to be. This is the story of my entire life. It is a dark story of sadness, anger, and hatred. It is a story of a war against cruel injustice. In this magnificent story, I will disclose every single detail about my life, every single significant experience that I have pulled from my superior memory, as well as how those experiences have shaped my views of the world. This tragedy did not have to happen. I didn't want things to turn out this way, but humanity forced my hand, and this story will explain why. My life didn't start out dark and twisted. I started out as a happy and blissful child, living my life to the fullest in a world I thought was good and pure. Now, this, again, was from a 22-year-old who went on a killing spree in California. The first 3 people he killed were his roommates in college. Okay? Now, apparently, Bryan Kohberger had a thing for Elliot Roger. He was his idol. He was somebody that he looked up to. He was somebody that he idolized. And again, he ended up taking his own life after this killing, but not before releasing this manifesto to a bunch of people that he trusted. He hated women. He made a video he made a video before all of this about being a 22-year-old virgin and never even having kissed a girl because there was something wrong with women for not wanting him. Hello, everybody. I mean, it's, it's so insane because people aren't born bad. People are not born bad. It's something that happens to them, I believe. I don't believe you are born bad. I believe you were born a clean slate, and along the way, things just get twisted and, people go bad. That's what I believe. Hey, Lolo me. Let me see. Okay. So I'm not going to read all this. I don't know if anybody else wants to read all of this, but if you guys do, when I am done with this, I will link it in the description below. Okay. And okay, yes. Can we bring that up for a second? Let's just talk about this in a respectful way. Okay. I questioned the story because it just seemed odd to me that that at first saw nothing, heard nothing, and then found out that actually saw and heard a lot. And then they said she froze, though. They did say that she froze. Like, she went in her room, locked the door, and then, like, I don't know. I don't know what happened after that, and nobody does because they're not her. But they're saying she was, like, literally scared like, she was petrified. So she didn't know what to do. Yeah, maybe it's just maybe it's just one of those things that we can't understand it unless we are in that place, in that position, to to me, I feel like any other crime, any other story, any other thing, we would all be looking at this going, I don't know here, guys, because there is a huge, there's a huge gap in a gap here. You know, this happened at 4 a.m. And then later on that morning, almost around noon, friends got called over and then the police got called. So that's a long time, right? That's quite a long time. I just found that questionable. That is all. And listen, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I say question everything, question everyone, right? That's the only way to know for sure. So I'm not stating anything by that. I'm legit just questioning things. Okay, now let me stop this. But I find it very interesting, and you know, it's some people have no interest in understanding why people do things. You know, why people kill, why people hurt other people. But there is a reason. There is some type of reasoning behind it. It just doesn't come from anywhere. All right, let me pull this up. Hold on. I got to share screens with you. Casey, no, it's not that somebody got mad, but when I posted that, a couple people were like, leave her alone. Like, she's going to have survivor's guilt forever. And like, I'm not even questioning that. Like, I'm just stating that it's odd. You know, that's all. And also, people are saying that she has PTSD from like something previous that happened in her life. So she had nightmares. And apparently they're like, she's new in the house. She's young. She's new in the house. Can you imagine some of the stuff she's seen? This was a big party house. This, you know, weird shit happened there all the time. Like people were always like, there was people walking out with zip ties on their wrist. You know, there's people doing weird shit there all the time, which, hey, not for nothing, but that's not normal, I would say. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe she did just freeze and was scared to say anything, or maybe she was like, is this even real? Or am I just, you know what I mean? Like, is somebody playing a prank? Is this a real, you know, person? I just think, hey, you know, could you have like called or texted your roommate just to make sure she was okay? But again, if she is legit frozen and scared to death, then she wouldn't have been able to do that. So, you know, it's still, I just don't understand it. Yeah, Casey, that's pretty bad. That I was defending her because she's blonde. Oh, that's odd. I would say. People are crazy. Exactly. Yep. Just wait and see, Casey. But, you know, I'm just saying. Okay. And do you think so when Bryan and his father took the road trip from Washington to Pennsylvania, apparently they added an extra 10 hours to their road trip because they went from Washington down to Colorado instead of just going straight across. Now, they did not spend any time in Colorado, so it's not like they went there for a specific reason. So, why did they add an extra 10 hours onto their cross-country road trip? We don't know, but could it be do you think the father had an inkling that Bryan did do these killings and that possibly he thought his son was going to be going to prison soon, so he wanted extra time with him? Do you think the father knew? I mean, I don't know. You know, it's I don't know. But I am going to get into something that Bryan had wrote a few years back, and it's very disturbing, and it could explain a few things, I think. Charlotte Girl said his phone ping there later that morning. I say she was scared to death that he would come back after her. Then when he was arrested, she could speak up. Now, the only thing I would say to that is she already knew, like, she knew that he saw her. There was no way he could not have seen her. She saw him, right? So she already knew that he looked right at her, knew what she looked like. He already knew that she saw him. So whether she made the 911 phone call or not, it doesn't change the fact that he already knows he saw her. You know what I mean? She already knows that. Well, apparently, Sugar, they were watching him by airplane on this cross-country road trip. So that's where it came from. So they didn't spend a significant time. They didn't spend a significant amount of time there. Okay, so let me go into this pull this next thing up. I don't know which one. Oh, it's 5. Okay. Nope, this one. All right. So this was written by Bryan. See? Here he is in 2011. Okay, let me read this to you guys. I always feel as if I am not there, completely depersonalized. Mentally, I experience fog, lack of comprehension at sometimes, feel like my life is a movie, depersonalization, depression, no interest in activity, constant thought of suicide, crazy thoughts, delusions of grandeur, anxiety, poor self image, poor social skills, no emotion. I feel like nothing has a point to it. When I get home, I am mean to my family. This started when VS did. I felt no emotion, and along with the depersonalization, I can say and do whatever I want with little remorse. Everyone hates me, pretty much. I am an asshole. Okay. Now, this was 2011. I mean, that in itself, just that tells you a lot right there. Now, I go to this. Did his parents see this inside of him? Did they see his behavior change like this? By this writing, it sounds like he needs to get to know Jesus. Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely agree with that. For sure. All right, now let me pull up this next part. Unfortunately, I think that this is where he found the needle instead of finding Jesus. All right, now he goes on to write this. This is July 4th, 2011. I have had this. Oh, wait a minute. Let me pull up. Hold on. I got another one I'm going to pull up where you can see the whole thing. Just got to find which one it is. Right here. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me pull this one up. You can see it better and I can read the whole thing. All right. Now, this was posted on a forum. Okay. This is July 4th, 2011. I have had this horrible depersonalization go on in my life for almost 2 years. I often find myself making simple human interactions, but it is as if I am playing a role, playing games such as Oblivion. I can see what is going on. I am slightly into it, but I can pause the game and focus on my real life. In this case, my life is the game and my old self can be reached by pausing the game. But how? I often think of things that humans do, things that I have done my whole life. I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth, as I am starting to view everyone as this. Everything I have ever done makes no sense. How did things get this way? How am I wearing this shirt? And who decided that humans shall wear shirts like this? Are we all just advanced animals with possession? Or is there more? More that I can't see. I can't connect. I view everything as I would if I was playing Oblivion, pointless and full of nothing, out of reality. I am moving out of my house. My last holidays were already lived. But where was I? As my family group hugs and celebrates, I am stuck in this void of nothing, feeling completely no emotion, feeling nothing. I feel dirty, like there is dirt inside of my head, my mind. I am always dizzy and confused. I feel no self-worth. I am intelligent, but I feel the opposite. I say things I don't mean. The last holiday in my house, the house I grew up in, the house I once contributed to, the house I once felt at home in, is past. As I hug my family, I look into their faces. I see nothing. It is like I am looking at a video game, but less. I feel less than mentally damaged. It is like I have severe brain damage. I am stuck in the depths of my mind where I have to constantly battle my demons. Am I here or am I fake? I feel myself slipping away. I hear screams faintly, but I constantly battle away from it. What if I let go? Where would I be? Would I ever come back to reality? I try to remember where I originated from, but I can't. I barely remember my childhood. I often fear being 80 years old alone and having faint memories of my parents, everything I missed out on. I think about my father, what a good man he is, how I treat him like dirt because I have this condition, and I can't take it. I might spiral out of control and lose myself in the void. I can't let it all go. All of these regrets I predict for my future self. All of these thoughts of remorse. I got this when I was in my stage of discovery. Now I look in the mirror and I see this sickly, tired, useless, stupid man in the mirror. He is a complete disgrace. He doesn't even deserve to live. I remember when I was 15, I would wander alone at 2 a.m. Everything was so generic. Nowhere felt like home. I saw things that were not there, a different reality. I felt eerie and alone. I died during those nights. I felt like a criminal. But where was my record? I can't talk without flinching now. I used to be this healthy, blonde-haired boy with blue eyes, and in a few years I have darker hair and darker eyes, half the body weight. Where did I leave off? I try to sleep, I try to clear my head, but the pressure won't go away. The pain and depression won't leave. Being me is this horrible disease that I was given. I think of this as I succumb to sleep, but I see a large intensity of black, yellow, white fuzz. It makes my mind fizzle, and I can barely keep in the bounds of reality. It is as if the ringing in my ears and the fuzz in my vision is simply all of the demons in my head mocking me. I fall asleep, but I wake up quickly to bloody screams. Is any of this here? Am I brain damaged? No. Then why am I like this? I have these thoughts all in my head. I search for someone to relate to me. Everyone looks down upon me. No one can relate. As I try to read, suddenly my eyes look right through the words. When I look up, I see blue dots near the center of my vision. When I feel slightly calm, it gets hard to breathe, and I see bright dots in my vision. Nothing I do is enjoyable. I am blank. I have no opinion. I have no emotion. I have nothing. Can you relate? Now, that to me is very, very dark, very depressing. I think that right around this time, now he said he was half the weight because during his senior year, he lost one. He used to be a big kid. His senior year, he lost a thousand. Holy shit. He lost 100 pounds. And people said that that is when his personality began to change. That would make sense. Hold on, let me get that off there. I mean, that is a cry for help years and years and years ago, and he never got it. I think it's interesting because it does give you a little bit of insight into a dark, dark person. I mean, all of those years ago, and he needed this help and he never got it. You know, he was lost within himself, lost inside of his own head. You know, he wasn't born that way. And again, you go back to that Elliot Roger. He was not either. He was a rich, entitled kid. His dad was a Hollywood movie producer. I mean, he had everything, but it wasn't enough. But if that doesn't give you a little insight as to, you know, why people do what they do, like it, you know, I don't know if he had a psychological sickness at that time, if it was, you know, if he needed to be put on meds or, you know, whatever. But something was very psychologically wrong with him. And then he turned to heroin. Again, yes, sugar. I agree. At that, when he was younger, if his parents saw signs of any of this, then it was their responsibility to make sure that he got the help that he needed. Now, well, again, I'll go back to Elliot Rogers' parents. They tried to get him help a lot. They tried to have him locked up, put him in a psychiatric unit. He was 8 years old, and they knew something was wrong with him. And at 22, he finally, you know, went on a killing spree. But that's what I'm saying. Did Bryan's parents know or have any inkling that he was capable of this kind of behavior? Oh, absolutely not, Casey. It does not. No. It does not excuse his behavior. It does not give him an excuse to do what he did at all. You know that but my point is that happy people don't go out and commit murder. Happy people don't kill people. They just don't. You know, happy normal people don't do this. So there's always a reason. There's always something behind it. it's like he never joked his parents he needed mental help. They might have assumed he grew out of it because he was off at college and getting a good education. Yeah, his friend said that the last time she saw him in 2017, he at a friend's wedding, he was good. He was into criminology. He was doing his own thing. He looked good. You know, he was clean. It's, you just never know, you know? You just don't. All right, let me get off that. I think that's very interesting, though. You know, it's like that Elliot's manifesto. I mean, you know, how a person can just change like that and blame society, blame women, you know. I mean, it's crazy. All right, let me pull this up. Now let's read a little bit about what it says about Dylan. Idaho College murders roommate who encountered intruder was scared to death. Their surviving roommate, who told police she encountered an intruder in the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered, was scared to death, according to an attorney for one of the victims' families. She was scared. She was scared to death, and rightly so. This guy had just murdered 4 people in the home. Again, though, at that moment, she did not know that he had just murdered 4 people in the home. Okay, she couldn't have known that right when she saw him. So she wouldn't have known that. I'm just putting that out there. Gray represents the family of victim Kaylee Goncalves, who was stabbed to death in the early morning hours of November 13th at an off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho, along with victims Madison, Xana, and Ethan. The lawyer was referring to the roommate identified in court records as DM, who told authorities that an unknown figure clad in black clothing and a mask walked past her on the second floor of the home and then toward a rear sliding door. Police believe the intruder was 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger. Okay. It is not clear whether the intruder saw DM, who had described the man as 5'10" or taller, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. According to a probable cause affidavit released this week, the document says DM stood in a frozen shock phase and then locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Questions have been raised about why authorities were not called to the home until nearly noon later that day, when DM allegedly encountered the intruder shortly after 4 a.m. However, one possibility is that DM could have experienced traumatic shock, including dissociation and tonic immobility. When your body is in shock and you think you're going to die or you think you're in a threatening situation, adrenaline surges your sympathetic nervous system and takes off, and you may experience a frozen state where consciously you know what's happening, but then a coping mechanism is for you to disassociate. New York University Joseph's psychiatry professor, Dr. Judith F. Joseph, told NBC News, people may disassociate in and out for hours, especially if they've been through severe trauma. Gray, the Goncalves family lawyer, told Fox News that DM provided investigators with beneficial information. She's a victim in this case. Everybody kind of forgets that. The Goncalves family doesn't have any ill will towards her or anything like that. In a statement at a memorial service last year, DM and another surviving roommate described their love for the victims. My life was greatly impacted to have known these 4 beautiful people, DM wrote. My people who changed my life in so many ways and made me so happy. I know it will be hard to not have the 4 of them in our lives, but I know Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee would want us to live life and be happy, and they would want us to celebrate their lives. Sounds familiar. All right. So, what do you guys think about that? Right. She didn't know, Casey, and I'm sure that she wasn't thinking that at the moment. Like, I'm sure when she saw him, she wasn't like, "Oh my god, he just killed it." You know what I'm saying? She couldn't have thought that. So, but again, she didn't know at the time that, these crimes had happened. So, that's all I'm saying. Exactly. Yep. Casey, I'm going to pull that up real quick. I mean, and to think, unless she actually saw some horrific or possibly heard something horrific, how do you go in a catatonic phase for hours? Strange. Hopefully more details will emerge. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I don't understand it. To me, it doesn't make any sense. But that is true. Her life will never be the same again. It just never will. All right, let me get rid of that. Now, let me pull up. I know, sassafras. That was one of the first things I thought. That it really was. Can we just take a second? Oh shit. Hold on. Can we just take a second and look at these two? I mean, how creepy is that? Isn't that so bizarre? Bryan Kohberger, Ted Bundy. They look a lot alike, don't they? No, Casey, you're fine. I totally get it. I agree. But I mean, come on. They look so much alike, right? It's kind of creepy. All right. Hold on. Let me pull up this other thing. All right. Now, here is the research study that Bryan posted. Hello, my name is Bryan, and I am inviting you to participate in a research project that seeks to understand. Savannah. Yes. Stop. That seeks to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision making when committing a crime. In particular, this study seeks to understand the story behind your most recent criminal offense, with an emphasis on your thoughts and feelings throughout your experience. In the event that your most recent offense was not one that led to a conviction, you may still participate. Additional surveys are included after the open ended section as to best understand your unique traits. The study should take about 15 to 20 minutes to fully complete. Your identity and all answers provided are completely confidential, and the link to this survey is also an anonymous link. This research has been approved by the DeSalle University IRB. Participants must be 18 years of age and older. If you opt to participate, you may terminate participation anytime and for any reason. If you have any questions about this research, you may contact the research team via email. Student investigator Bryan Kohberger. Now, wouldn't it make sense that he did this? He created this study, right? Funded by the university, but he created this study and he's just making himself a part of this study with the murders that he committed. You know what I'm saying? Like, what his decision making process was like while committing this crime, what his thought process were, what his emotions were while committing this crime. And he thinks that he fully believes that he is smarter than everybody else, and that he is going to walk. He is going to be exonerated of all charges, which would, right here, was not one that led to a conviction, then he would fit right into this. Now, wouldn't he? I wonder how many people signed up for this. Now, this was 7 months ago. Hold on, I missed it. Hold on. Yeah, Sassafras. Yep, him too. I don't think he's going to plead guilty, obviously, because he thinks he's going to go in trial and, get away with this. I doubt he's going to do that. But you know what's interesting? What's interesting is I wonder if he wrote his own manifesto and it just hasn't been released yet. Won't be released until, a certain time. Mary, you say his parents knew he was like that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Someone else said he was connected to 3 other unalivings. Well, I have not heard that. Hey, Chrissy, I have not heard that, so I cannot confirm that. But to him, in his mind, I think it's all one big research project. Like, exactly, Casey. It makes sense. Him being as into criminology as he was, him being into studying criminal behavior, him being into serial killers, him, being obsessed with this type of genre, it would make sense. Yeah, Melissa, I was actually just talking about that. So his sister, yes, did star in a slasher film, which I'm gonna pull up right here. This information about her. Her name is Amanda. Who is Amanda Kohberger? She is a licensed school counselor and theater actress. Okay, hold on. At the time of his arrest, Kohberger was living with his parents, Marion and Michael. His family reportedly released a statement urging the public to accept his presumption of innocence. We respect privacy in this matter as our family and the families suffering a loss can move forward through the legal process. Their statement read. The statement also spoke about his sisters, Amanda and Melissa's grief. Bryan's classmates remember him as being super awkward. Bryan Kohberger cheered up and was more chatty in criminology class after Idaho murders, classmates claim. Okay. Who is Amanda Kohberger? Amanda is Kohberger's oldest sister. The 34-year-old graduated from Lehigh University in 2018. She is currently working as a licensed school counselor and school-based outpatient therapist in the state of Pennsylvania and a registered behavior technician, according to the intern newscast. She trained professionally with Northampton Community College, East Stroudsburg University, and Northampton Community College. Well, they said that twice. So, Amanda even tried her hands at acting and starred in some movies, including Going In, 2 Days Back, and Lonesome. She also performed in some stage shows, including the Hot L, Baltimore. Okay. A Cabin Fit for a King, and action showcase Barefoot in the Park. But yes, 2 days back was the slasher film that she was in. I actually looked it up. I watched the trailer. It didn't look that bad. But anyway, Kohberger's other sister, Melissa, is a 31-year-old mental health therapist located in New Jersey. I mean, it's kind of crazy that he's a psychotic, dark, twisted killer. And one of his sisters is a mental health therapist, and the other one is a student counselor. That's kind of crazy, right? She specializes in ADHD, anxiety, trauma, work stress, emotion regulation, and career counseling. Wow. She has been working at Resilience Lab since 2022 and graduated from Centenary University. Melissa first came into the public eye when her mother submitted her story to a local Pennsylvania newspaper in the summer of 2022. Bereft of their laughter, there is now not a sound as we lower our children into the ground. Small hands and feet buried 6 feet deep into the earth of the world that failed them. Wow. A poem in the story read. That's all right. Let me read that again. Bereft of their laughter, there is now not a sound as we lower our children into the ground. Small hands and feet buried 6 feet deep into the earth of the world that failed them. Wow. Speaking about Kohberger's legal proceedings, he is currently being held without bail while awaiting extradition to Idaho. Okay, yeah, we knew all that. But yeah, so there's a little bit on his sisters. Wow, that story, right? Oh, makes you wonder what their childhood was like. I did look it up. I don't know what it's on though. I didn't look up what you could just like Google it and then it'll tell you what you can watch it on. 2 days back is what it's called. Yeah, I wonder that, Casey. How could his sister be a registered behavior technician and his other sister be a counselor and nobody noticed what was wrong with him? And kind of crazy that his sister wrote a poem about like the world failing children and people burying their kids. Yeah, sassafras. It sounds like there might be a lot more issues in that household than anyone thought. That's crazy. He is totally an introvert. He kept it all in his head. All right, so let me get off that. I mean, it's crazy, you guys. All right, hold on a second. Let me get rid of that Bundy picture over here. Okay, let me pull this up. Share this with you guys. All right, now his mother, Marianne, had wrote this. It was just a little thing in the paper. Cheering the hearse, Brooklyn, because she used to live in Brooklyn. Perhaps one of the saddest commentaries on mankind was evident during the execution of Theodore Bundy. While no sane, compassionate individual would excuse the atrocities committed by this man, neither would any sane individual applaud the passing of his funeral hearse. What have we become? Is the taking of a human life acceptable when the state takes responsibility for it? So she's basically talking about Ted Bundy getting the death penalty and how, you know, people cheered it on. People cheered when Bundy was put to death. And she thinks that's bad behavior from mankind. I'm not sure if she knew her son was a lunatic. May have been difficult to understand him. He had been on drugs, recovered, suffered from that visual snow thing, appears to have been naturally socially awkward. A lot going on. Yeah, I agree. But lots of people have grown up with messed up parents, from narcissistic parents or alcoholic ones, cult-like types, church-going kinds that ignore any problems and pretend the family is perfect. Yes, I agree. Lots of kids grow up in screwed up households with screwed up parents. They do not all become psychotic killers. But he told you he was battling demons. He was stuck so deep in this deep dark void that, you know, he didn't see any other way. He didn't see any other way to live. He looked at himself and everyone around him as if it was nothing. It's crazy. People who knew him, they're like, this is nuts. You know, his friend Bree, who came out and talked about him, she's like, he was so nice of a person. We hung out all the time. We were friends. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I heard this, she said. But something changed, and it had to have been around or right during his senior year in high school. I think that's what she was talking about. Yeah, he even in that passage that I read that he had written, he was talking about games. And yeah, it's crazy. I'm sure he did play a lot of games, but I'm one of those that listen, I don't blame video games for kids going bad, just like I don't blame music for kids going bad. You know, you as parents instill in your children right, wrong, morals, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at all those parents that sued Eminem back in the day because they were like, "Oh my God, he's gonna raise SS's. He's going to turn our children into, nutties." I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think that takes all the self responsibility away from people. Oh no, Sassafras, I'm not sticking up for him. I am not. That is not what I'm doing at all. I agree. If it's that bad, if you hate life that much and it's that bad, then listen, yeah, you know, do you, but leave everybody else alone. All right, let me get rid of this. Hold on. Mello said to get a PhD, you have to read a lot about evil people and how they think. That can change someone. I mean, I agree to an extent, but now look at sex crime detectives. Look at, like BAU agents, right? Who deal with criminals and rape. Like, look at sexual gosh. People who deal with rapists every day. People who deal with people who do that. I don't think that it makes you become one. Some people, I guess, can never turn into the monster that you're fighting in the first place, right? So I guess it's possible that could happen. I guess it could rub off. But I think he had this darkness inside him And I think that's what fueled him to go into criminology in the first place. It's just the human, it's just the mind. It's the human, it's the mind is a very powerful thing, I think. And when someone's goes wrong or goes off the deep end, once the mind has been lost, can it ever be found again? I don't know. Can you ever be brought back from that? I don't know. Maybe he was too far gone. You know what I'm saying? No, that's just my thought. But you have to, Sugar says, but you have to have some sort of mental instability if you let what you're reading, studying, get you to act on what you're studying. Right. Like there's already got to be something off there. Right. I agree with that. Okay. Patty in pink. Let's see what she's saying over here. It's hard to be a parent. My son went to Christian school, but still went through a nightmare attitude toward me. He is finally out of this, plus now an excellent chef. Well, that's awesome. People that deal with bad things all day, like police, have difficult time at home dealing with all of it. Very true. Very, very true. Very true. I agree with that. But again, trying to get in the mind of somebody who could be capable of doing something like this, I just say that there's always a reason. You know what I mean? There is always a freaking reason. All right. Could he he was an addict. Could he have had an obsessive character, became fixated on things easily? I'm going to guess yes. Perry UK True Crime. I'm going to guess that yes. He could become fixated very, very easily. Okay, let me make sure I got all of that stuff, important stuff that I want to talk about down. Okay. Yeah, I did. Okay. So, that's really all I wanted to cover on this case. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this live and then I'm going to start another live, about like just a different life, kind of like a coffee and chat, chill shit that I want to talk about type of deal. Pamela said, ashamed he didn't get help and sad he was bullied all his life. His parents must have known. Maybe if he got help, what a horrific thing he did. And it was brewing for years. Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, that's what we are looking at here is he had all of this building up. And then, he never got help for it. He never got treatment for it. I don't know if his parents were oblivious or if they were just like, it's a phase. He'll get through it. He'll get over it. And all of that. So definitely maybe this could have been prevented had he gotten the help that he needed at the time. Right? So, all right, you guys, please give this video a thumbs up. I know it's different. I know it's not Kylie's case, which I didn't let go of, but I do want to touch on these other things too. So please give this video a thumbs up. Please comment below. This is interesting stuff to me. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm going to end this and then I'm going to come back on. Give me about 5 minutes and I'm going to come back on and do another live. Okay? So I hope you guys can be here for that. All right, you guys, I love you. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions and keep spreading that light. I'll see you guys soon.